Hello everyone, this is Al. Today it is, Black Wolf White Flare has finally been released into the public. Have you been able to get anything? I really hope you have. It's a fun set, but don't worry if you haven't yet. If you have though, you might have cards, your bulk, that you might be wondering if it has any worth. And if you are, this is going to be a video for, competitive players who want to kind of get a refresher on what's in the meta and how these cards are going to interact and what cards might be strong or something to put aside. And you might also be someone who is not into the competitive Pokemon, but maybe you have bulk to sell or just want to understand which cards are kind of better or, all that. So this is kind of going to be a fun video because I always love the feeling of sometimes when you pull stuff, especially an awesome illustration rare, which the set is full of, you probably want to wonder, what can I use this for? And there are some surprising uses that we're going to maybe consider in this. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you can join me for it. So, we're looking at cards that aren't obviously competitive, like EXs are obviously competitive and stuff, but we're going to be looking at commons, uncommons, rare, stuff like that. And, we're going to start with Tortuga, I think is a fine example. Tortuga here is a water type. He's actually from a fossil. We revived him from the dead, kind of. Under the water, he's down there. And once revived, he has an attack for 1 water energy that does 30 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard pile. Now, this is something that could come up if we have a meta full of, item cards that get discarded, and then late game Tortuga could maybe come in to punish for that. But it is kind of niche still. And if you want to save your Tortuga, put it aside, you also have to put aside that cover fossil card as well. Now, its evolution also has an interesting ability. It may not be game-breaking or anything like that, but it is something to note. We have Mighty Shell. So, prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have any special energy attached. Now this could come up in a meta where special energy is actually widely used. Maybe it's in a top deck or something. Like we had Lugia at some point and the Chinchino, and then now not quite any special energy users for this, but something to keep in mind, of course. Now next up, how about we look at I can't wait to play this meme deck. We're gonna make a meme deck, I think, for our round Pokemon. Now, not round as in cute and lovable. I guess they are, kind of. But round as in the attack. So Temple, Palpitoad, and Seismitoad all have the same attack, doing heavy damage for however many Pokemon you have with the round attack. So that is across Temple, Palpitoad, Seismitoad, of course. And although for Temple, for 2 energy, it's only doing 20 for each, Palpitoad kicks it up to 40, but Seismitoad is the one that if you have other Pokemon with the round attack, he can be hitting for 70 each. So that could really add up. I think it's a fun meme deck. It's not quite going to be competitively meta or anything, but it's fun, I would say. And maybe if you aren't always aware of all the cards and the, things and what's happening in competitive, then you may not know these silly things. And I like this because it goes after the move in the games and stuff. You know how round works? It's really fun. I love it when it does that. Ooh, another one I want to look at is going to be some control options. Are you excited, control players? Well, we have Cubchoo for one thing. Cubchoo, and its art is adorable and everything, but it has for 1 water energy, Snotted Up. What a name. Sometimes the names are bangers. This one is something too. It says, during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't use attacks. Isn't that interesting? Now, if your opponent's active can't attack, that can be annoying. And, on a tiny Cubchoo, it's one thing, but you can see the trap potential. And especially when it evolves into Beartick too. Beartick here, continuous headbutt is 50 times for each coin flipped when you get tails. So you flip a coin, you get tails, it does 50 for each heads, and you flip a coin until you get tails. That's whatever. Coin flipping, but sheer cold is gonna be for 3 water and 1 colorless, 150 damage, but during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't use attacks. Alright, very annoying. Not the biggest damage output, but very annoying. I could see some potential with the control stuff or whatever, something like that. I can see it. There's actually, I've seen some control deck list things in Japan, and another one kind of might fit into it. This is going to be Alomomola. Alomomola is actually like a competitive card that might be good to have in your binder or something for the future, potentially, because it has a really interesting ability. Now, despite its looks, it's a basic. And it has Gentle Fin. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon's in the active spot, you may put a basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less from the discard pile onto your bench. Now, this is fun. It's fun for you, but maybe not for the opponent. But this is very easy recursion, and it's very easy through an ability. The only downside is that it has to be in the active spot, but, like, that's doable, and if it could really help you out. But we're gonna explore that at another video or time, I think. Another Black Bolt lineup I want to experiment with is going to be Crocodile and that whole gang. So Sandile has Tighten Up. It's 1 dark energy. You discard a card from the opponent's hand, or your opponent discards it. Then with Crocorock, it has Tighten Up for 1 dark, 1 colorless, and it lets you discard. Your opponent discards 2 cards out of their hand. It's also doing 40 damage. But then once you get to Crocodile, it's doing Tighten Up for 1 dark, 1 colorless, and it does 60, but your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand. So you see the pattern here with this gang. They are discarding cards from hand, and then Crocodile has another attack. Cursed Slug, dark, colorless, 120 plus. If your opponent has 3 or fewer cards in their hand, it does 120 more damage. So you can imagine the strategy here being to get that hand size low with the Crook Squad, and then go after and Slug. You know, Victini's kind of a fun card. I know everyone is chasing that bright red Victini card, me included eventually, but this Victini has V-Force. So V-Force is doing 120 damage. It says if you have 4 or fewer bench Pokemon, this attack does nothing. So this is kind of a late surger, I would say, in the sense of like maybe you could run it in a fire deck that has quick acceleration for a basic Pokemon you can put down quickly, and then go off for 120 damage. Kind of niche, but kind of one of those things where, like, it could come up again. Victini is a cute guy, I have to say. Now, Emolga is a cute Pokemon, but also could be one of those niche plays where it's 70 HP Pokemon, it can be searched with Buddy Way Puff, and it has free retreat, and it has the Call for Family attack, allowing you to search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench. Now, these basic Pokemon don't have to be little single prizers, it can be the EXs. That's why sometimes these niche choices are good for making sure you can get Pokemon that you really need down immediately. But other than that, maybe not so much used, but just something to take consideration of, that it's out here. Dynamo is actually important, because Dynamo leads to the next stage evolution, which is going to be Electric, and this guy is competitive. Electric, with its Dynamotor attack, is gonna be really in demand, maybe not even immediately, but like it's gonna be really nice to have in the meta. This attack and ability, I should say. This ability has been seen before, but we're seeing it again. Dynamotor. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic Lightning Energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So it's great acceleration on this Stage 1 Pokemon, and therefore you might want to hold on to your Electric, your Dynamo, maybe your Electros, but mostly Electric. And if you want to sell off some bulk, you can now know that Electric is a pretty nice one. Fennel is a healing card, and it's kind of niche because it may not be complete bulk. If our meta demands that healing is OP, which it's kind of sometimes been leaning towards, maybe not immediately right now, but like, we'll see. We'll see after Worlds and stuff. But like, the healing could be real. That could be an actual strategy, and so for that reason, you could consider Fennel. And for that reason, you can also consider slightly Musharna. So Musharna has an attack that finds you Fennel. Very niche. Dream Calling. You can search for a Fennel card, but it is an attack on a Stage 1. I don't think this is very good or might not see use, because even with the Fennel possibilities, I don't think we're going to be searching too hard for Fennel. It's just a niche option. Haxorus is a single prize Pokemon, Dragon Pokemon, with an interesting attack. Once again, I don't know how often we're pulling this off, but it's interesting. I want to show ya. Axe Blast. blasted. Alright, for Fighting, Steel, and Colorless, kind of a wonky cost. For a reason, it says if your opponent's active is a basic Pokemon, it's knocked out, just point blank. I like effects like this sometimes. It's very funny. Obviously, it's a big cost. We're investing tons into our hack service for this. And he does have other stuff, but like, yeah, it's a move I wanted to point out that's kind of funny that, hey, if they come up, hey, I'll keep in mind that it's out there. Okay, getting back on track, Audino is one I think is pretty good to have in your, like, competitive binder, maybe, depending on what comes up. It's a basic Pokemon with 100 HP, but it's attack return, doing 30 damage. You may draw cards until you have 6 in hand. This could come up in situations and metas where, you know, you want to make sure you have enough cards in hand after using, I guess, your hand during your turn. But also, the 30 number in damage is also kind of relevant because that can knock out things like Badoo and whatnot. I think with the upcoming cards, you know, we have little guys that could be up there, and that could be relevant. Like I said, it's not, you know, like, super so. It's just good to keep in mind, I want to say, because I have seen some lists featuring Audino, playing around with Audino, and maybe it could shine someday. If you're a competitive player, you may already know this, but Air Balloon is a good card. This is going to be a tool card that, again, if you're not really in the competitive scene, it looks like bulk, but it also looks very funny because it's just a balloon. I like it for that reason. But Air Balloon is really nice. Air Balloon is going to be a staple, I would say, to have in your competitive binder some copies of, because it's very versatile and it's going to be getting some use throughout the time that it is legal, for sure, I would say. It really helps a lot with decks, and you can really slot in any that needs some help getting some larger retreat cost Pokemon to be more flexible and everything like that. N is, of course, coming in our black and white set. Who would have thought? We haven't really seen many Ns make it into some lists yet, but I think its effect is actually kind of interesting and could be potentially something if the conditions are right. So N being able to come in here and move 2 energy from your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon could be relevant. I don't know if you want to use that as a support card. We do have energy switch, but that is also just 1 energy at a time. If we get into the field where we need a lot of energy switching and maybe not just 1, but 2, this could be helpful. I would definitely keep him in mind and keep him around in your, like, little binder. Prism Energy does look like some decent special energy. This thing is going to be giving basics a bit of a buff by letting it utilize just about any color, and it's going to help power up attacks and things. It's going to be really useful. Now, White Flare has Ignition Energy. We'll look at that as well during the White Flare section, but I think that's that for Black Bolt. All in all, honestly, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for listening. And once again, if you think there are things I missed, definitely let me know. I think it's a really good thing to be able to share the hobby with everyone, and, you know, there's some good ideas out there. It's really fun during the, you know, beginning stages of sets when they come out, and everyone's getting to tweak around and play with them. It's really great. So, thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Consider subscribing if you want to stay in the loop with TCG content and stuff upcoming. We obviously have White Flare that needs to come out next, but I appreciate everything. Thank you for watching. If you want to go a step further, like, comment, and even further, thank you to anyone who considers or is a member. I appreciate it so much. Makes me so motivated to do stuff, and I keep wanting to keep pushing more. So thank you, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye! Bye! He says bye too. Bye!